This is a laptop screen replacement for an ACER Aspire 5742-6838. The first thing that you're going to want to do, of course, is remove your battery. Also note that there's 4 different screens available for this laptop. There are matte and glossy, and then there's the AU brand and the LG brand. So I'd highly recommend that you disassemble your laptop screen first and check the model that you have before ordering. The tools needed for disassembly and reassembly are a plastic wedge or something else that won't damage the plastic of the screen, an X-Acto knife or something very small and pointy to help remove some plastic adhesive, and then a Phillips head screwdriver. Normally there would be a black piece of plastic adhesive at these 2 points, but I've already disassembled this screen so that I could check the model before ordering the replacement screen. So you'll take your X-Acto knife, you'll prick up an edge, being very gentle, so that you'll have the plastic tabs to replace when done. The next step is to actually remove these 2 screws. And then you're going to use your plastic tool or wedge to get in the side and gently pry up all the way around. You can then use your fingers and you're going to pop this cover off. Notice that these 2 pieces pop off here. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to remove these 4 screws. This is all that holds the laptop screen in place. As you remove the last of the 4 screws, you'll notice the back cover begins to separate and fall away from the screen. That's perfectly normal. Your next step is going to be to remove 3 screws from each side from the screen to separate the screen from its hinge. Support the screen as you're removing these screws, as there is a cable attached to the back of it. As you remove the last screw, your hinges remain upright. You can take your screen and you can gently lay it over. You're now ready to remove the cable. This cable and connection is very delicate, so be very careful with what you do. You'll notice a piece of plastic here that you're going to prick up, and it will help you. It's just adhesive, but again, you want to be gentle so as not to damage the connector in any way. Once you have all the adhesive loose, you can gently pull the connector away from the socket. Your screen is now free, and as I said before, I disassembled this in advance so that I could make sure of what brand of screen I had. This is the AU Optronics as opposed to the LG. We'll set our old screen off to the side. That's going to be e-waste now. Please make sure that you dispose of it properly. You'll see that our new screen we'll set it here roughly in the same position, and we'll begin our reassembly. Make sure that you get your connector in nice and tight. I have on occasion not had it as tight as it's supposed to be, and I have to go through the whole process of disassembly again to tighten it up. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it does make a good solid connection when it's in tightly. Put your adhesive back down in all the spots that you took it off before. And now we're ready to put it back in the frame. If you feel comfortable plugging in your battery now and checking to make sure the screen functions properly, that's just fine, and I'll show you that next. I've placed my 6 screws back in the frame just to help hold it stable. You probably want to hold your cover up in your hand and support it before you pop the battery in, because you do have that cable hanging back there. You can pop your battery in so that you can do a quick test. Make sure that when you pop it back in the frame, your little adhesive strips that hold your protective cover on are sitting up top, so that you can remove this protective cover before you put your bezel back on. And as you see, we have a fully functioning screen. Okay, we're now ready to reattach our back cover. I like to support the bottom and put those in first. Doesn't really matter, I don't guess. Make sure you go to the inside screw hole, because this outside screw hole is where your bezel screw was, and so you've got to preserve that open for when you put the bezel back on. And you don't want to overly torque these down, you just want to snug it up. I have on occasion seen laptops come in that have some age where screws are missing, and when I replace the screws, I've put a drop of Loctite on the screws. You can see the manufacturer puts a little bit on there as well. But remember, if you do that, you've got to really pay attention to what type of Loctite you pick up. There are different grades on how well they seize and hold. If you put the wrong Loctite on here, you will strip the screw head trying to get it back out, because they're just not that strong. So I've kind of gotten away from it, except in places underneath the laptop that don't have to be accessed very often. And if we ever have to do another screen replacement, this is a fairly new laptop, the person dropped it. I don't want the Loctite on here because it would just make it too difficult to get back out. We're now ready for the bezel. Notice I removed that protective plastic cover first. You want to go around the laptop, snapping in what you can. You'll hear the clicks of everything going back in place. And that's really about all there is to it, other than putting these final 2 screws in. You know, things happen. If you got too aggressive snapping off the bezel and you broke some plastic or something of that nature, believe it or not, the best thing I've found is just school glue sticks. You put a little bit of that on the inside around the areas that you've snapped something off. You don't have to worry about it if it gets on your finger, because it's washable and it holds really, really well. You'd be surprised. You wouldn't think something like that would hold real well. But in this case, didn't really snap anything off. Everything's nice and tight. Lets you see the screen start up again. And that's about all there is to it. It's not technically too difficult for those that don't mind a little bit of a challenge. I still have to replace my plastic dots. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed this video.